Ooh. Well, look at that. Look how very long that hideous beard is, huh? God damn! Oh, knee steering. How many people do knee steering? I got. Recently someone said, are you steering with your knees like it's a weird thing? By a wonderful human being. Anyway, so I have been thinking. What an unusual thing for me to be doing. So I've been thinking about how, that's a good way of putting it, how congruence is a sign of respect to others. See, you got to understand that everything I do, I like to be able to twist it in my mind to be in some way I'm doing it for other people. Like I'm doing it for the benefit of the world, for the benefit of everyone else. Congruence. Now, this is one of my favorite words. One of my favorite concepts. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Really? You silly man. Tell me to U-turn or just follow this around? Yeah. Congruence is the concept that your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all simultaneously aligned in the same direction. Right? So what does that mean? Like a really simple example is, say someone said they looked a bit like uncomfortable at a party, right? And you're like, are you okay? And they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm totally fine. I'm totally cool. And you just look them up and down, you're like, something's up. What's up? You know what I mean? Because they're incongruent. They're saying one thing, but judging by their body language, they are clearly feeling another thing, right? So that's one definition of incongruence. I don't know, maybe another one might be if you say you're not hungry, but you're really hungry, you're incongruent. Here's a good one. Say you really want a good job, yet all your behavior is trying to find a safe job. Sometimes a good, well-paying job that treats you with respect and respect and pays you well, all that sort of stuff, looks after you. Sometimes those jobs to go for those, it's a risk, right? And sometimes the work is off and on, up and down, right? And so to go for that job is not a safe option, right? And a lot of people say they want a really good job, but they just go for these mediocre jobs all the time. When you can see that they're so much more capable than that, right? So, that might be it. Or maybe even a step back from that. Say they really want a job. How many jobs have you looked up this week? I looked some up, but none of them, they're not really me. But you're desperate for a job, right? Yeah, I'll do anything. Right? We've all known people like that. And we've known ourselves to be like that. Maybe not with these particular examples, but come on. Every single one of us has been incongruent at some stage. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's that. Anytime you're basically lying to yourself in some, whether you realize it or not, doesn't matter. But if you're lying to yourself in some way, or you're acting a way that you're not feeling, like you're not feeling it, then you're incongruent. Okay, so hopefully that's covered what congruence is or incongruence. How is it that being congruent is, how is it that I can twist being congruent to helping the world, right? How is that? How is me being congruent in myself helping everyone else that I meet on a daily basis or interact with in some way, shape or form? What it means is, as I've mentioned, I've talked about the subconscious countless times. I've talked about mirroring, I've talked about this, and I've talked about that. But if you're congruent in yourself, you basically make it the okay thing to do. Right? You make it basically set the standard and say congruence is the okay thing, and you're doing that subconsciously. Every time you behave in a certain way, you're basically portraying in an indirect sort of way that I am okay with this, and if you act in this particular way, then we're gonna connect better, right? So, for example, when you see a bunch of people drinking, like your friends drinking, you feel like having a drink. If, whatever, you get the idea. Everyone's playing a video game, you feel like playing a video game maybe. I don't know, whatever. If everyone's telling jokes, maybe you feel like saying something funny as well. Or everyone's talking about a topic, you want to put input as well, right? Same goes with congruence. Like if you are congruent in yourself and you act that way, then that's gonna say this is how everyone is expected to act around me, in a kind of indirect way, right? So that's pretty cool, right? Now, what happens if everyone's being congruent around you? Well, what it does is it means that another way of saying congruent or incongruent is, one way of saying congruent is being true to yourself. So, I don't know, say you're in love with someone, you've got a crush on somebody. You make it known. You tell them. And you man up or woman up and spit it out, and if they don't like you back, you're just like, alright, I'm still proud of myself for doing it. Say you're like, everything's situational, right? Everything has a context, as I said in every video. Say you're got a friend round and they ask how you are. Guess what? Not only is it going to make you feel better if you tell them how you're feeling, like if you're not feeling okay, you spit it out, you just say it. You guys are going to have a discussion and you're going to feel better, and you're going to get some insight from someone who is like feel at a different headspace than you, right? Now, if you're feeling really crazy, I know in times when I feel ungrounded, when I feel like shit's getting too much for me, I find I feel crazy. I feel like I don't know what's real and what's not when shit gets really, 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 really hectic, right? And I find that talking to someone who is less crazy than me really helps me get perspective, right? And if everyone says that I'm being crazy, if my perspective is crazy, then I go, shit, I better change it up. If everyone says, no, actually you're seeing things perfectly clearly, I go, awesome. I'm relieved that I'm not hallucinating or whatever, you know what I mean? Or like making a big deal out of a small deal, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Now, what does that do for other people? Makes them comfortable saying it to you. It's basically saying, I'm someone who is so open. You have permission to feel open as well. Feel free to have conversations with me. It's okay. If you act fake around people, if you hold stuff in, then that's going to set that standard as well. Like, people are going to hold back from you. That's just how psychology kind of is with most, but not everyone. Of course, and then there's, as I mentioned before, context. There's situations where you don't talk about dark shit. Don't go into a party and talk about how some fucked up shit just happened in your life, unless, the situation says it's okay. Like, make an effort to go and have phone calls with people or catch up with them one-on-one, and then you can have that conversation in an appropriate setting. But right, so the same thing goes both ways, right? So if you are being incongruent, if you are holding things back from your friends that are actually a really big deal, it's basically saying, it gives off the impression that talking about those things is not okay. Talking about those things is off limits. I've had lots of people in my life who say to me, Chris, you can talk to me about anything, right? Talk about anything with me. It's perfectly okay. I'm here for you, blah, blah, blah. Yet when it comes to them, they never open up to me. And I tell you how that makes me feel. That makes me feel like I shouldn't open up to them either. That's just me. I feel like I need other people to open up to. The bigger the deal, like, especially if they say you're a really good friend. Like, what's so scary? What's the big deal? Why are you hiding it? You know what I mean? And some of the reasons why people hide it is because they are ashamed of themselves. They don't want to share that sort of side. They want to be happy all the time, and they want to give this front to everybody that they're always happy, right? And they'll tell people, like, people say, you seem happy all the time, and they go, no, I have my bad days as well, and it's said in a way that actually subcommunicates that maybe they don't really, or maybe their bad days aren't as bad as their bad days, whatever, right? This is, this is normal, right? But when I make any of these videos, unless I explicitly say, and even when I explicitly say, it's still probably not the case, but I'm not necessarily saying things are good or bad. I'm not saying this is bad, this is good, this is good, this is bad. I'm merely pointing out the cause and effect. I don't judge on those sort of things. Like, I don't judge negatively on these sort of things. I understand what is normal behavior. It's like that old story with the snake, where the guy, a snake falls out of a tree the two guys are sitting around a campfire, and a snake falls out of the tree above it into the fire. And the guy reaches in, grabs the snake, pulls the snake out, goes to throw it away, and as he throws it away, the snake comes around and bites him. And the guy lets go of the snake, it falls back in the fire. And so what the guy does is he reaches back into the fire and pulls the snake out and throws it away. And his mate goes, what did you do that for? The snake bit you. He goes, oh, what do you say? Yeah, that snake bit you. He goes, of course the snake bit me. It's in the snake's nature to bite me. He goes, well, why did you pull it out of this fire? Because kindness is in my nature, right? So understanding that sometimes, forget why I'm even mentioning this story, but keep understanding that like these concepts, the reason why I don't judge them is because they're just how it is. So it is, I think, is the quote from lovely pink-haired lady on her arm. But yeah, that's so I don't judge negatively on psychology, but it doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, back to congruence. So when you are congruent with people and you're honest with who you are and you're honest to other people in the right context, of course, it makes it appropriate for other people to be congruent as well. If you hang around with a whole bunch of fake people, you're going to subconsciously be programmed to act fake as well. Okay? If you're around a whole bunch of people who follow a particular narrative, then you're going to pick up on that narrative as well. You're going to live your life in a similar, like with the similar goals to that particular narrative, right? It's the nature of things. It's just the nature of things. So the point is be that person, right? Don't worry about what other people are doing. You do, like literally, you do you. You be you. You be your most authentic you, your most congruent you, your most true to yourself you that you can possibly be. Be that and allow that to rub off on people. Allow the people who are so incongruent, that are so out of touch with who they truly are, allow those people to be repelled by you. Because the reality is that people who don't vibe with your authenticity will not like you. I talk a lot, man. I talk so much. I had a friend who recently told me, like, some of the self-development stuff. He goes, honestly, man, you're a bit preachy about it, you know? And he goes, now you've sort of gotten over it, and you're, you know, I was studying this particular branch of psychology, and I was looking for people to use it on, to test it out on. And he goes, you're getting a bit preachy about it. You're using it inappropriately. You're talking about it 24/7. You couldn't talk about anything else. He didn't vibe with it. And as a consequence, he hasn't got the patience to watch any of these videos, and that's in his nature. That's fine. I don't need him to connect with every part of who I am for us to be really close friends. You know, he's into things that I'm not into, not in the intensity that he's into it, right? So allow those people who don't vibe with your message, allow them to not vibe. But you be you. You be the youest you that you can be. Right? Be authentic. Be true to yourself. Be all those fun little personal development, motivational buzzwords. Be them. Don't, how do you put it? Like, don't try to be them. Be them. It's like, if I was standing in front of you, this is a really cool example that I saw. Got this pen, right? And I said to you, try to take this pen out of my hand. And then you take the pen out of my hand, and I go, no. I didn't say take the pen out of my hand. I said, try to take the pen out of my hand, right? It's kind of a fucking play on words, right? You can't, if you're trying to do something, you're not doing the thing. You're either doing it or doing not. Yoda, the wise old Yoda. You either try or try. You either do or do not. There is no try. Okay? You can't try to take the pen out of my hand. You can only actually reach over, grab the pen, and do it. So you are. I mean, you could argue, I guess, that there's some really cool exercises out there that train your mind to be more authentic. But to me, like the best way to train yourself to be more authentic and true to yourself is to two things. One, the most important thing is to, like I've said in countless other videos on how to identify what is subconscious and what is conscious. Rewatch those videos, and if you need the link, let me know. And study your behavior from an unbiased perspective. If there are behaviors that are repetitive, that you keep doing, that you don't realize that you're doing, or you don't realize you don't realize it while you're doing it, right? Or there are just things that keep happening in your life, then you're not doing them intentionally. Like the classic example is always having fucked up partners, right? That always make you go crazy, right? That's actually something in your subconscious that is drawn to those people, right? That's enough examples, but watch your behavior. The second thing is if you're actually concerned about it, ask your friends what you do and get their perspective on it, because they'll see things that you don't see. Because the first step towards change is awareness. Trying to find your awareness. And then the next stage is having the courage to, and the discipline to consistently attempt to change it, to shift it. So like one example of mine is I apologize a lot for example, making these long videos. I used to apologize a lot, and I used to talk about how it's the 10th take or whatever, and then I realized, what, that's me. Why am I apologizing? The people who vibe with my videos really love my videos because they tell me in person, they tell me in messages, they tell me all this, and I freaking appreciate that, because it keeps me focused that yes, people actually like them, people actually watch them. I don't know how many people. I know of at least 5 people who have mentioned at some stage that they really enjoy my videos, even though they're long. And I've also had people mention that they don't like my videos. But these videos aren't for those people, so who cares? So, anyway. Be authentic to yourself. Find ways to be more authentic to yourself. If you're doing a behavior that you don't particularly think is good, right? If it's a bad behavior, if you try to ignore it, it's going to stay there and it's going to happen again. So if you want it to happen again, like, acknowledge the fact that if you ignore it, it's going to happen again, right? So part of you doesn't think that changing that thing is right, that's valuable right now. Maybe in the future, maybe if your life circumstances change, you will see it as valuable. Or maybe you can just make a decision that it is valuable, that change in that particular avenue in your life is valuable. I don't know, right? But be true to yourself. Assess whether you think these things are really valuable or not. And don't try to justify it with your conscious mind. Look at your behavior. Look at how you actually are. Say you want to get a particular goal, but you make up lots of excuses why you can't do it, when the reality is that you could just do it. You could just do it. And you could do it poorly, but at least you're doing it. At least you're moving towards it, right? What's the saying? It's better to fail at something that you love than succeed in something that you hate. Honestly, really, legitimately, that's so true. Because at least if you fail at something that you love, you know you've got a little bit more insight on how to achieve it properly next time, right? And if you really love it, you're going to do it again because you think it's valuable enough to do it again because it means something to you, right? So, with all that being said, I've really, 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 really covered a lot in this particular video. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know. I've got to think about the title now because it sort of encompassed a lot of the videos that I've had in the past. But learn how to communicate with yourself and learn how to be authentic to yourself, and then understand that yes, you're gonna benefit from this. But that's not that doesn't need to be your primary motivation. Your primary motivation doesn't have to be so that you're happier, so that your life is easier to progress through and navigate through. Because to me, that's just a side effect. That's just it's like a secondary cool little thing. Yeah, I get that as well. I mean, I go to work because I need money. That's why I go to work. I also get to help people, and I also get to I also enjoy my job, but I wouldn't do my job if I didn't get paid. So that's an example of the primary drive for me to go to work is to make money, right? And I get all these little secondary things that make me feel good as well. So, don't let that be your primary driver just for yourself. Understand. Do you know what? I think if everyone understood how much they influence the people around them, if people really, really understood how much they rub off on the people around them and how powerful their existence is for every person that they interact with, even on a 1% level, everyone would get over themselves and really try, if they actually had love for their friends and their family and the world and humanity and all this sort of stuff, then they would really be they would see how important it is to love themselves, to better themselves, to do these sort of things. Because, man, you've got no idea how much you influence those around you. And I mean, if you don't give a fuck about people, then it's a whole different story. If you hate people, if you hate humanity, if you think the world... But the reality is that sort of thinking is why fucked up people exist in the world. They're just a worse version of you. If you're the type of person who thinks that the world is fucked, that everyone's fucked, the world's never going to get better, you're probably also someone who doesn't care about people so much that you want to be a good influence on be an influencer on the world. I don't know. I mean, that's just an assumption. And, you know, that's a terrible thing to do. Don't assume things about people, you know. But, and if I'm wrong, so be it. That's totally cool. I'm allowed to be wrong. Just like everyone else is allowed to be wrong. But, you know, that's just my belief. I believe that I love so much. I have so much love to give to the world and people and everything that, yeah, I owe it to people to understand myself deeply so that I can give that influence to everyone else, right? Everything I do in life is for everyone else. Me wanting to be a success in my endeavors, to be rich, to be all those sort of things. I want to do that for other people so that I can rub off on them. And if I do become rich doing something I love someday, I'd like to think that, you know, if anyone came up to me and was like, wow, you're lucky that you did this and that you became rich. Like, you're so lucky that you just happened to find that little niche. Can be like, bitch, please. I worked at it because I'm passionate about it. And you can do it too. Anyone can do it. That's why right now I am so focused on this goal of building these speakers, because I want to be able to go to schools and see kids that are disadvantaged and talk with them about how, you know, everything's in your head. Like if you everyone has the same body, the same limbs, like, except, you know, obviously people are deformed, people have blown up their hands or whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're all pretty similar. We're all and we're physically capable of doing anything. There's nothing that separates me, Gandhi, and I don't know, some other rich person physically. It's all in our heads, what we can do with our minds. And we can help a lot of people. Bill Gates helps a lot of people, man, my friend. He helps a lot of people. So, you know, helping people is a major drive for me. And if I can be an influence on that, and I can see the more successful that I could become, the more I can influence people. And the more I can influence people, the more I can help, I can be successful in myself, right? It's a feedback loop. It's a positive feedback loop. So anyway, that's enough. This is a very long video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments. Send me PMs. Hit like. Hit a lovey face if you've reached the end. Do that for me. I'm looking at you. You just told me you watched these videos, but it's right to the end. But you say you don't have time to go. Do that. I was talking to you this weekend. You know who I'm talking. If you're watching this, you know who you are. But all of you, let me know some way. Say watched it. Anyway, I just want to know. Anyway, I'm babbling now. Have a great afternoon. Have a great night. Enjoy yourselves, and let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts, motherfucker. Yeah, do it. Huh? Gee.